All right, please do move to the front of the room. It will be much better for everyone here if we have this more as a discussion than anything else. So first, I'd really like to thank each and every one of you for coming out to DevOps Days over the past 2 days. You people that are here in the room now, I have a little secret for you. You're my favorite of the DevOps Days participants. So a big round of applause for yourselves there. I'll just kind of lay out what's going to happen here. So I do organize and run a podcast myself. It's called The Food Fight Show. That podcast is a podcast that's all about DevOps and chef. Our tagline is it's the place where DevOps chefs do battle. But if I'm being honest, we talk a lot about DevOps and chef for sure, but we don't do a whole lot of fighting. It's a pretty congenial show. But this is not that. This is not a food fight show. This is going to be a DevOps Days podcast. So I mentioned this yesterday also, but what I like to do is make the content from DevOps Days as easily consumable to as many people as possible. And so to that end, we always make sure our videos are posted, slides are posted, and I grab all of the videos from talks of not only DC, but also other conferences, other DevOps Days that will allow me to do so. I grab their videos, I rip out the audio, and I release that as a podcast. So you can listen to some of the talks. You can re-listen to some of the talks that you saw today. The best thing about listening to, say, Betsy's talk, she had a lot of formulas and math on the slides that made me feel really nervous and like I didn't study well enough in school. If I just listen to the words, I don't have to look at those formulas and feel guilty or inadequate. It's better that way. So that might be something that you consider. It's also, as I mentioned this yesterday, it's much better when you're driving to listen to a presentation, not watch a presentation. But also, there was a gentleman this morning, I don't see him here right now, but he said, I took your, oh, there he is, he's in the back. You shouldn't raise your hand before I tell the story. I just looked at and pointed at you. He said, I heard your advice yesterday, but I totally ignored it. While I was driving in on the Beltway, I was watching the live stream. He's made it here safely. As far as I know, there were no accidents. Please don't watch the videos on your way home. The thing you might want to know is where's the website? How do I subscribe to that podcast? And the short answer is there's no website for the podcast. We do it as amateur as possible and as free as possible. If you subscribe to podcasts today, whichever podcast service you use, just search for the DevOps Days podcast, and you will find it. And if you don't, just reach out to me, and I'll say, maybe you should use a different podcasting tool, because I don't really know how to solve that problem either. Yes, so that's that. So how's this going to work? For the next 20 minutes or so, we do have a time where we have to be out of here by, in 20 to 30 minutes or so. We're just going to have a discussion. I would love to talk about what your experience was like at the past 2 days here at DevOps Days DC. Again, the questions are things like, what surprised you? What did you learn? And you also have to remember that who our audience is for this. It's always important to know your audience. Your audience for this primarily are people that were not here, have no idea or did not get the experiences that you've had over the past 2 days. Potentially, there are people that didn't make it back to day 2 or weren't able to come. And also, this is a great way for us to sell DevOps Days to your colleagues, to the larger community that we have here within both DC and, frankly, around the globe. We want people to hear how DevOps Days go. That said, I definitely am not asking you to like keep the negative feedback off. Like, definitely share both positive and negative things that you experienced over the last day and a half. Because also DevOps, we talk a lot about transparency. We look at failure, and failure is an opportunity to learn. So if there were, I don't know that there were any failures from my experience and my perspective. This was a great event. There wasn't any big failure that we need to learn from. But there might be little things that we could learn from and adjust from. And I know as an organizer, I also listen to other organizers and how their events went and other people that have attended those events. How do I make mine better? How do we make the next one better? So please share as freely and as openly as you care to. That would be really, really great. If what you want to talk about is, if you want to recap a talk that you saw or an open space discussion, that is a good thing to do, and we'd love to have that. So with that, I think I have at least three willing panelists. And don't worry, none of these mics are wired. I can walk to you and put a mic in your face, and you'll have to maybe say something. But maybe, let's see, Kurt, why don't you open us up? Why don't you say the next words, and I'll give you a microphone to do so. And yeah.
Okay. I guess freestyle.
Yeah, it should be on.
Is it on? Can you?
Yeah. No, I just want everyone to hear me. Keep talking to it, maybe. Let's see. See if this one's on. Thanks. Is this one on? I think this one is on. Try that one.
Hey there.
All right.
Thank you. I'm not a terribly wordy person, but yeah, I've had a great time the last 2 days. My name is Kurt Yoder, by the way. I'm with DevOps Inc. And yeah, I really enjoyed. I found some of the talks to be really making my mind think in a different way. So I thought that was a pretty cool opportunity to be in here with that. I really enjoyed coming up here and looking at funny pictures and saying nonsense. That was my highlight.
Right. So for those of you that are just tuning in or weren't able to participate with us today, when you said you looked at crazy pictures and spoke nonsense, we did a thing called Ignite Karaoke. And in Ignite Karaoke, we have a couple of, I call them victims, but really they're volunteers, who get to come up on the stage, and we put slides up for 15 seconds each, and they have no idea what the slides are, and they get to tell a story to pull those slides together. Kurt, do you remember any of the pictures that were part of your karaoke?
So for me, it had to be the girl with the burning house behind her, and I listened to some of the really clever responses. Like the one guy had the heavyweight framework. I thought that was great. So what I wish I would have said is like, this is our when you take the systems offline, like kind of like the way Netflix does with Chaos Monkey.
Like a game
it's
day.
Like, this is my Chaos Monkey. Haha, look what he did. I wished I had said that, but it wasn't quite as clever.
Well, the good thing is that the Ignites themselves were all recorded, so you can go back and watch it over and over again and think about all of the things that you would have said if only you'd prepared better.
That's right. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to do this for next time.
That's right. Great. Michael, you were one of the co-organizers for this.
Hey, I'm Michael Barbine. I really spent most of my time from the registration booth, so that'll be my perspective until I watch all of the talks online at the USPTO.
Yeah, they'll all be online at the USPTO site, and they'll end up on the DevOpsDays DC org site also.
So I don't know what more there is to say about the registration. It was awesome. Looked really great from where I was sitting. A lot of T-shirts.
Yeah,
so that's about it.
So one of the jobs that Michael had as part of the organizing committee, really, he was kind of we'll call him the cruise director. He was the one that organized the evening event. He organized the happy hour last night. So if you were able to attend that,
Thank you. Like the party.
And yeah, we also had on I guess it was Tuesday night. We had a speaker and sponsor dinner. So I know there are some speakers and sponsors in here who were at that dinner. The rest of you that weren't at that dinner, I still love you. But I'm sorry you missed that dinner. It was amazing. So thanks for organizing that, Michael.
Yeah, no problem.
Tell us a little bit about the happy hour and sort of all the things that you pulled together for that, because I'm still waiting on all the bills. I don't know, like, what else did you put in there?
There's a few more coming. Yeah. we did whack the ice sculptures of your face and the logo.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. They actually almost sent them. I was like, no, wait, no. Yeah, so we had Detached Retina. That was pretty awesome band. They have a lot of awards. Corporate Battle of the Bands. I'm not sure how that that's just one of their line items on their profile. But yeah, they're a good rock band. Went to a couple of venues, looked at like Top Golf and all the things that were close to the area. There's really not a whole lot out here that's beyond. Carlisle Club is pretty good. It's right across the street, right around the corner from the Patent and Trademark Office, which is just cool. They're not a restaurant; they're just like kind of a club. So they just opened up for us and just did all the work. It was very smooth, very well run. We had some massage therapists, open bar, food, lots of bacon and bourbon flights.
Yeah, there were bourbon flights.
Yeah, everybody like that? Everybody likes the bacon and bourbon? Okay,
yes, if you missed it, they had bourbon flights, and so they would give you a paddle with 4 shot glasses with 4 different types of bourbon. so you could taste all of the bourbon. It was
going on
wonderful.
the redo list?
I do have to say that the amount that they poured in each shot glass was relatively small, so I felt compelled to drink 3 flights of bourbon. It was a really good evening. It was fun.
So did everybody enjoy it? I was there. I mean, that's cool. Yeah. I spent most of my time with the massage therapist because that's right. That's
right.
That was a nice day.
So you mentioned that Detached Retina had was like a corporate band and won a corporate battle of the bands or something. I was talking to someone, I think it was Jeff Gallimore, who's at Excella, and Detached Retina is from Excella, and he was telling me that in this battle, that band actually got 3rd place. But their guitarist got #1 guitarist, their keyboardist got #1 keyboardist, and their drummer got #1 drummer. I'm not sure how that made the band 3rd place, but as individuals, they really rocked it. So
it's another event that you organized that had
it was not, I had nothing to do with that
consultants
one. No.
Organizing with you.
Let's see, Robert. Robert was also one of our co-organizers. Robert, what was your perspective on the last 2 days?
Well, mostly I should thank for the last night. It was really good. The bourbon flights, they were really good. The pours got bigger as the night went on longer, which was hard to judge appropriately. So that was really good. Yeah. I think the thing that most surprised me was I made it for the 9 a.m. session this morning. And Nathan knows I usually don't make it for the 9 a.m. session on the second day. But I'm glad I did. It was really good. Like a testing talk that wasn't horribly boring. That's amazing. So I think I go to a lot of conferences. Like there's a lot of those talks. This one was one of the better ones I've seen. So for folks that catch the podcast, like go find that talk and listen to it. It was really, really good. And again, like the power of open spaces always is good. People will always get something out of it. There's going to be at least one session that you go to and you get something out of. My favorite probably was I think we figured out that everyone should switch back to CVS. We did actually work the problem. It went really well. It was a good working group for that, so that was awesome. So yeah, another successful event. I was really happy.
And Robert, you've been to many conferences, you said. I think you've been to more than 2 DevOps days?
I have.
Okay. So you've been to more than 2 DevOps days. You were definitely here last year. What struck you as different last year versus this year?
Actually, one thing that I think was really good, we handled, well, hopefully you all feel this way as well. I think we handled the increased size pretty well. I didn't feel like it was overly crowded or anything like that. I did kind of wonder, and we did different seating layouts and whatnot. Open spaces is always a tricky thing the larger your crowd size gets, because it is hard to have, you're trying to sort of do working groups or smaller intimate discussions on some level. And as those crowds get bigger, it is difficult to have that happen. But I think for the most part, people seem pretty satisfied. The groups that I sat in and listened on, like I thought there was good conversation going. So, I mean, this is mostly, I hate to credit you in front of everybody, but I mean, you do a very good job of setting up the open spaces thing and walking people through it. And I think when you go to some of these other conferences where they try it, it's not always quite as well organized. And I think this is one of the better ones. Like I would always come back to DC just for the open spaces piece of it. Yeah,
Awesome.
It's really done well here.
That's
most
great.
of them are not recorded, so
No, they're not recorded.
you really got to
This
be
is
here
not
for
on,
it.
is No,
Yeah.
not on. Yeah, the open spaces are impossible to record, I think. And here's why I think that. I think that open spaces really are about having that discussion with a small group of people. First, where would you put the recording device, right? Because you would want to see everyone. And recording the audio, in that case, probably isn't enough. But then the other reason that I'm really adamantly against trying to record open space discussions, it goes back to the friend-DA that we talked about. I really want everyone that's around that circle to be able to feel like they can share openly with the group of people that are there. And I know just right now, we're recording this live in front of people that I want to speak. And some of you won't speak, not because you don't have anything to say, but because you don't, being recorded maybe makes you nervous or something. So, which is a completely acceptable thing. I'm definitely not trying to say anything negative about that. You should feel that way, and it's fine. So, yeah, I think it would stifle the conversation if you recorded those. The thing that we do, though, and I thank everyone here also for that, is that we capture notes from those open space discussions. So if you were in that open space discussion, you have those notes that you can refer back to. If you weren't in that open space discussion, you have those notes that you can look at. And this is another thing that I think can help us sell DevOps Days to management. How do I go to a conference where, look, I want to take 2 days to go to a conference, and for the second half of both of the days, there is no agenda? How many of your bosses were like, yeah, you should totally go and do whatever for two afternoons? Like, it can be a very hard sell. And so it's great that we capture those notes, because now we have something that we can point back to, an artifact that we can point back to and say, here's what the discussion topics were. Here were some of the notes that were taken. No, you're not going to get the same richness out of just reading those notes, but at least you can understand what some of the topics are, how they got proposed, and things like that. So I think that's important.
Yeah, certainly when you all go back to the places you're going to go back to, right, and you have those conversations with your coworkers, like you do have the cheat sheet that's there, sort of like, here's what we talked about, and here's an outline, and you can sort of have those discussions, and you have the notes in a shared place. So I think it's also a good time to remind everyone, like, definitely keep feedback coming. Some of those improvements, I mean, I think I remember last year at one point, like, I took a photo of the Board of Chaos and tweeted it out, because we're like, well, you need to distribute this so people can see it. This time we had our act together a little better, and like some of those things that we've done, they're little things, but suggestions that came from the audience. So we definitely want to encourage that feedback when you're going through notes and that kind of stuff. Like, we have those things, we can make them available, but it helps to get sort of a reminder of, like, you know, hey, if I had notes when I got back home, like, that would be awesome, you know, and then we can help facilitate it. So definitely keep feedback coming. That's always good for us.
Cool. So I wonder if I can ask a question to the group and find someone that will answer this question. What about some of the keynotes or some of the Ignite talks? Is there one that stands out in your mind that was memorable, one that you would like to just share, like what you took away from it or what you thought about that? Who would like to share one? All right, Bill.
I really enjoyed the evolution talk from the two representatives from Excella. They really did a good job of bouncing ideas off of one another, and it was just really a lot of fun to watch, and it was engaging to watch them present it in that way.
Great. Yeah, and they talked. It was Laura Barton and Trent Horn. They're both from Excella.
Thank you for filling in the names.
You're welcome. You're welcome. What I'd also love to do is tell you the exact title of their talk, but I don't remember it. But I do know that it featured the Cynefin framework also, which is a really interesting framework, and also is a really interesting word to learn how to pronounce. Right? If you look at Cynefin, it's not how you will say it, likely, unless you're Welsh. In which case you'll be like, of course. Well, what else would those characters mean, right? Who else would like to share about a talk that stands out in their mind as they think back on the last 2 days? Yes, great.
Yeah, this is Salim. So today, Simon from USPTO, he talks about how the journey was from adoption of DevOps all the way to where they are. For me, that really stuck out, because I always wonder that, you know, if you're a place where I am, where you have no DevOps, and now you are starting to build this culture, how do you start? What are some of the hurdles you will face? What are some of the challenges you face? So I think that was really thing, and I'm sure I was talking to a lot of them folks. They are actually starting to build the DevOps culture. So I'm sure that it will be really beneficial for a lot of people. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'll second Simon's talk, because I can go on YouTube and spend days listening to all the unicorns tell me about how DevOps is great and how to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in a bureaucratic government organization. Can I get something that's a little more applicable to the challenges that I'm facing? And that was really great hearing from especially this area and that sort of same realm on, all right, so we have a little bit unique challenges. This is how we got through some of those, and this is what our journey looked like, because we're not Google, we're not Facebook, but you can still do this.
Yeah. That's awesome. I want to tell you a little story. I'll come back to you. I want to just tell a little story. You mentioned Google there at the end, and as we were preparing for this conference, my good friend and co-organizer Alan Kraft said, hey, I have a friend, his name is Mike Bland. He gave a talk at the DevOps Enterprise Summit. You should go watch his talk. I think we should invite him to come give a keynote. And I said, yeah, that's great. And Alan got us in touch. And I remember it was probably 6 or 8 weeks ago now. I'm driving. I actually had a meeting here with Alan at the PTO. I'm driving home back to Annapolis. I'm on the Beltway, and I call Mike up, and we have a discussion about how DevOps Days work and how we'd love to have him come and present. And he's totally on board, and he's like, okay, so just walk me through the logistics. I said, okay. We'll probably do you on the second morning. You'll probably be the opening keynote, and we'll give you 30 minutes. And then the line, it felt like the line went dead. Mike was, wait, 30 minutes? No, this is like a 90-minute talk. Can I have 90 minutes? No, it's 30 minutes. But I would like to applaud Mike for bringing that talk in under 30 minutes, or just at the 30-minute mark, which was beautiful. I heard a lot of great feedback on it, and I'm going to be rude and just put him on the spot because he's in the room. Mike, I'd love to hear your experience as a speaker from DevOps Days and how that went. And I'm sorry for cutting you down at 30 minutes.
Well, the best part about speaking was feeling like I wouldn't be speaking in public anymore the rest of the day, but it's a little bit of an adrenaline crash happening right now. But no, this was a incredibly well-run program. I mean, on top of the fact that I live 2 blocks from this building, which I can't tell everybody about enough, so perfect location. It just felt like such a smooth operation. There were if there were fires that were happening, you couldn't see them. Everybody's super calm, super relaxed. I just waltzed on stage, rushed through my, I call it, it's like 10 pounds of flour in a 5-pound sack, but, made it work. And then I could just hang out and enjoy the rest of the talks. It was a very smooth, pleasant experience, and it's also been wonderful to see so many other speakers kind of hit, like we're kind of, I think it was Topo had in his Hygeia talk talked about the elephant, people feeling it out, and it feels like all the different talks, we're feeling different parts of the elephant, but we're starting to reach out and be like, oh, that's your hand, okay, we're on the same elephant now. Again, I'm coming down from an adrenaline crash, so my metaphors are getting really absurd. But I really got the sense that everybody here is kind of going through different situations, but the same themes keep emerging, and it felt good that I could, participate in that movement.
That's cool. Thank you. So I think the lesson there is, if you want to do DevOps right, keep your hand on the elephant, right? Okay. You wanted to share about a talk also.
Well, I really was going to praise Mike's talk before you were saying this. This had the highest ratio of excellent talks from most conferences that I've been to. I was really, really pleased with all the talks. But Mike's talk, I think, was the one that I felt like I need to share this. This was one of the most inspiring talks. Very good.
James, you helped organize the Ignite talks. I want to hear your experience because you also did that last year.
Yeah, the Ignite talks were really fun this year. This year we did, before the Ignite talks, I held 2 Ignite workshops so people could come, and we had a little virtual Blue Jeans meeting, so come online and have a little meeting and rehearse and talk about any challenges you were having. And I think it was really good because every single Ignite talk we saw was really, really, really well done. I think maybe my favorite this year was Greg's and the Chuck Norris one. But Nathan's, yours was good too.
Thanks very much. Yeah, those Ignites are certainly a lot of fun, and the karaoke had to be my favorite. That was incredible. That was incredible. I'd love to hear from someone for whom this was either your first DevOps days or your first experience with open spaces. Are there things that you'd like to share, things that surprised you, reasons why you loved it, reasons why you hated it? Someone willing to share that with everyone? You don't have to stand up. You can stay seated. You can stand up. Don't worry, it's not being recorded. It's totally being recorded.
It's my first for both. It's my first DevOps Days. It's my first tech conference. I feel like I absolutely have a mind that's exploding right now. Like I just have been sucking on a fire hose for the last 2 days. So I'm like, if I wasn't burned out coming in, which I was, I'm now officially burned out. I did actually really like the burnout talks also about the open spaces. What was I going to say? Two things. One, the open spaces thing was a surprise, but the concept was wonderful. And after hearing them say that how you manage them actually really probably matters, because you just somehow divided 550 people into that many sessions. So thank you for that. And you also permitted us to leave and walk to another one if we weren't getting it. And it wasn't even so much that I feel like I wasn't getting anything, but I felt like I was missing other stuff. So I just was at Jazz Fest in New Orleans, and they have 12 stages. And it's not that you don't like what you're watching, but you want to get a little bit of everything. So that's sort of how I felt moving around. And then the second thing was noticing common themes that clearly weren't intentional, but like that business value totally popped up over and over again. So even though everybody's sort of struggling with their own ideas, it seems like new concepts become the new main topic overall. So, and then I love the sharing. Everybody always mentions sharing. And so in such an unbelievably competitive area as DC is, it was nice to hear people are actually willing to share and build off each other. So thank you for the 2 days.
And a round of applause for Alexandra. First conference, obviously then first DevOps Days. I hope we haven't spoiled you for other conferences. But also you touched on a really important thing there, like your mind feels like you must be exhausted. It's very difficult, I think. I think there's a truism. Conferencing is hard. It is hard work, and you've just now spent 2 days away from your office, not doing your real job, but in the presence of many incredible people that you get to meet, and we get to meet you, and I think it's incredible. But there are so many new ideas, so many new thoughts that are running through your head. Absolutely. What you should do tomorrow is sleep. I think that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Yeah, it will be nice. Let's see. Does anyone else have something that they'd like to share? Yes, Alan.
So just getting back to what Nathan opened up with, which is that an important part of the audience is people who were not here and will listen later on the podcast. Those folks might not be aware of the fact that one of the criteria for selection of speakers was to be within a 100-mile radius of Washington, D.C., within the local community. And there are conferences that bring in brilliant thought leaders from all over the world, and those are wonderful, and I have no qualms about that pattern working in the places where it works. But I think it's remarkable and noteworthy that we had the wonderful content that we had here in our local DC metro community, and we were able to do that without pulling in folks from around the world. So there's a lot to be said to the vibrancy of the tech scene here in the DC metro area and to the health of the DevOps community here.
Yeah, that's really important. Sorry, who? You, yes, okay. I'll say one quick word and then I'll hand it over. I think that just to sort of follow up and layer on to what you've said, Alan, thank you very much for that. I think that a recurring theme at every DevOps Day that I've been to is you find people that say, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not unique. Our challenges are not different than anyone else. At a fundamental level, we're all going through the same journey and have very similar struggles. So I think that that's really important. And then part of the other rationale, I think, behind the 100-mile radius, I love them. We don't need the people from Silicon Valley to come out and tell us how to do DevOps. We have that knowledge here within our own community. And for me, it's very important that we build our own local celebrities, right? Let's build and find and identify the local celebrities. And if you look around the room, everyone in here is now a local celebrity, right? I met you at DevOps Days. That was amazing. Mark.
Yeah, and to further on that point. Like Nathan, I'm one of the organizers. I also have been to many DevOps days throughout the U.S., and they all are kind of unique in their own way because they're all put on by volunteers local to the area. Everyone on the stage here and who helped with this thing is doing it out of the goodness of their heart, as it happens everywhere else. And in DC, that required us to be especially inclusive because, as most of you know, this is kind of a company town. You know, the federal government has a very outsized influence on the tech business around DC, Virginia, and Maryland. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who are doing fantastic things in the private sector, in academia, and everywhere else. So we were very intentional about trying to make this appealing to everybody, no matter whether you work in the federal sector or you work in private. And as it says, on our website, DevOps Days is for you. Whether you're in the federal sector, the private sector, development, operations, QA, security, whether you're a total noob or you're a graybeard, this is for you. And I personally was really excited to see that we sold out every single ticket we had. We had a wait list that was much longer than we expected. We sold out every sponsorship that we had. There was absolutely no way you were getting into this conference unless you had gotten one of those things, because we had no space left. That's great. That means that there is a lot of interest and a lot of stuff to discuss and a lot of things to do with DevOps locally. And I am very proud to have been part of the group that helped put this together and to help keep that conversation going. It really is something that I think is of great value, whether you are in the government or not. There's a lot of jokes about maybe the government needs it. Maybe they do. There's a lot of private sector places that need it too. So all of you who are here now and who were here earlier, thank you for coming out. This really means a lot to us, and it really shows that the DevOps in the DC area is alive and well and thriving.
No round of applause for that? Yeah. Thank you. We're just about out of time, so I do want to thank you once again for coming out to DevOps Days DC. This was an incredible conference. You are incredible. Thank you for sharing and making this conference so magical. And just a request that if you did take the microphone and speak, whether or not you wanted to in the last 20 minutes while we were recording this, please just come up here. I'm sure we have something nice to give you. So thank you all. We will see you soon. That's it.